This is the August 11th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting for the city of Newberg, Oregon is now called to order. May I have a roll call, please? Is Faye doing it or?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Chris.
Can you say that again? You're cutting out, Faye. Can you say that again?
Chris.
Yes.
Let's see. Jason.
Here.
Connor.
Present.
Linda.
Here.
I love your accent.
Thank you.
Jeff. I don't see him. And Charles.
Here.
And Sharon. Let's see Sharon either. No, for Jeff Samuel. Nope.
Don't see him.
And
was that me? Because it cut out a little
yes,
bit.
that was you.
Okay, yes, present.
We have 6 out of 8 and you're still in quorum. Wonderful. Welcome everybody this evening. At this time, I would like to open the public record for any comments not on tonight's agenda. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve Planning Commission meeting minutes for June 9th, 2022?
Commissioner Abon motions to approve Newburgh Planning Commission meeting minutes for June 9th, 2022.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Newman-Curtis, I second that.
Thank you, commissioners. May I have a voice vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any that oppose, say nay. Planning Commission meeting minutes of June 9th, 2022 are approved. Now we'll be heading into our quasi-judicial public hearings. At this time, I'd like to call to order the August 11th, 2022 quasi-judicial public hearings for 5 different applications. First, we'll be dealing with CUP 2022-0006. The purpose of this planning commission will be to review the application, discuss testimony, deliberate, make a motion in the matter, and then vote. And then there will be a procedure for the applicant. We'll go first. They have a 15-minute time limit, and so does the principal opponent, if any. And then we'll go the proponents first and then the opponents with a chance for rebuttal. And then at this time, I'd like to call for abstentions, blah, 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 bias, ex parte contact, and objections to jurisdiction. Hearing none, would our wonderful Aiden Gray please read our legal announcement?
All right, ORS 197.797 requires certain statements to be made at the commencement of a public hearing. The applicable city and state zoning criteria must be listed. This means that we must advise you of the standards that must be satisfied by the applicant prior to our approval of an application. The planning staff will list the applicable criteria during his or her presentation of the staff report. Persons wishing to participate in this hearing must direct their testimony or the evidence toward the criteria stated by the planner or other specific city or state criteria which you believe apply. You must tell us why the testimony or evidence relates to the criteria. Any issue which might be raised in the appeal of this case to the Land Use Board of Appeals must be raised in person or by letter at the local level prior to the city approving or denying the application. The law states that this issue must be raised in enough detail to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond. This part of the law is known as the raise it or waive it requirement. If you do not bring it up now, you cannot bring it up at the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of the approval in enough detail to allow the local or government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing on an application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission will grant such a request through a continuation or extension of the record.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. It was-
Madam Chair, before we get started with the hearing, Faye, can you promote Brett Music up, please? All right. Sorry, Madam Chair.
that's
Back to
quick.
you.
The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. All right. We'll be listening to CUP 2022-006 for Jeff and Emily Hartley at 909 East 6th Street. Can you please have a staff report? Is that it? Or you?
No, Sam's coming. He's getting there.
Oh, okay. So I'm actually on time. That's all right.
Good evening, everybody. So I am the staff member who worked on this application for CUP 2022-0006 at 909 East 6th Street. Is the PowerPoint going to be pulled up?
And we'll also enter the entire staff report into the record.
Yes, I will do that. So like I said before, this is a vacation rental for 909 East 6th Street. So the background for this one, Jeff and Emily Hartley have submitted an application to the city of Newburgh. This is for a conditional use approval for a vacation rental in a 3-bedroom single family home. And again, its location is 909 East 6th Street. We've identified the map and tax lot number for this parcel. It is in the R2 zone, which is the medium density residential zone. The applicable criteria for this case is 15-225-060, which is the conditional use criteria through a type 3 process, and 15-445-300 through 350, which is our vacation rental home standards. Next slide, please. This is a map identifying the location of the property. It's located on East 6th Street, and it's the area bordered by red. Next slide, please. This is a site view of the home. Next slide, please. This is the criteria, 15-225-060. The first is dealing with location, size, design, and operating characteristics. It is located in an area with existing single-family homes, and it's south of downtown. The use is similar to a residential use in its design and operating characteristics. There are 2 off-street parking spaces, with 1 in the driveway and 1 in the garage, and those parking spaces take their access from East 6th Street. Next slide, please. Subsection B is dealing with location, design, and site planning, and then C is whether it will be consistent with the code. A quick summary, which is further detailed in your staff report. The location is attractive for a vacation rental, given its proximity to downtown and regional attractions such as wineries and George Fox University. As I noted before, there are 2 off-street parking spaces with their access from East 6th Street, and it is compatible with other residential uses in the area, which are both owned and rented. Next slide, please. These are the vacation rental standards themselves. It has to be a single-family dwelling, which it is located at 909 East 6th Street. They would need to register with the city for transient lodging tax, which means for the rental of the units, there is a 9% tax for its use as a vacation rental, and that's paid based on what gets charged on a nightly basis. We have to have 2 off-street parking spaces, and there are 2, as I have previously mentioned, with 1 in the driveway and 1 in the garage. It's a 3-bedroom home, so the maximum occupancy for the vacation rental is 6. They cannot have or include as part of the vacation rental the use of RVs, tents, or any temporary shelters. There is a requirement that the applicant will post near the front door the contact information for the police department, what the vacation rental standards are, what the maximum occupancy is, what day the garbage pickup will occur, and that's on Friday. Next slide, please. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Order 2022-011 with conditions. And that will conclude staff's presentation.
Thank you, Sam. At this time, do any of the commissioners have any brief questions?
None from me.
Okay. The only thing, well, I think we can do that later. I was wondering if there was a couple typos. Can we discuss that at this time, or should we wait for another time? Okay, on a typo, it says 4, it should be 6 on page 15 of 47. Written criteria response, second paragraph at the end. At the very end of the sentence of that paragraph. It has 4, it should be 6. On page 16 of same, number A, bullet list, last property has 1 car garage and a 2-car driveway. So even though in his application, the gentleman states 1 vehicle, I do believe he might have meant to say 2. Is that correct, or is that not? Do you know, Doug?
It's a 1-car driveway, and there's an additional space in the garage.
It's actually a 2-car driveway.
Well, technically, it's not. It's a 1-car garage and a 1-car driveway. What they have is an extra long driveway that's in the right of way. And so that space that's in the right of way does not count as an off-street parking space.
Oh, got it.
Thank you for that clarification. So, and all right, it wasn't a typo. And then on the utilities and number 9, Doug, can you comment on water lines? I noticed the water lines for all of them are at different levels, and the wastewater line for this house is at 12 inches. Is that correct?
Brett, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, so let me clarify the question. You're asking for the water main size and the wastewater main size in the right of way?
I'm just wondering if the 6-inch water line is that an average water line for a new residence?
No, the city standard is an 8-inch main now, but there in the past, there were 6-inch mains installed. There's a number of areas in the older part of town that do have 6-inch and even 4-inch mains in a few locations.
Okay.
I think the other thing to remind the commission is when we went through the middle housing analysis and we went through the infrastructure-based time extension request, and we did that analysis, is that we have areas south of downtown, basically from 3rd Street down to the bypass, where we have undersized water mains. And there was about $6.5 million worth of capital infrastructure for water line improvements to address fire flow that need to occur. I can't say that this was one of those particular lines, but we do, Brett is correct. We have situations in Newburgh where we've got 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 6 inch water lines that do not currently meet our standards of an 8-inch line. But this home was reviewed, went through a process to be developed, and it met the standards, even though it has a 6-inch water line in 6th Street.
I will add that the projects that Doug referenced is there's a number of projects identified in that, and it basically has identified areas to increase certain pipes of size to address the fire flow issue. So not every pipe that would be considered undersized by our current standards is getting replaced.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. That's all the questions I have. Do any of the other commissioners have any other questions? All right, then we will have public testimony at this time. The applicant is first.
So, do we need to promote Emily for this one, Sam?
It looks like Jeff is on here.
Okay.
Yeah, forgive me. I guess I didn't know that I was going to be speaking, so I don't really have anything prepared. Is there anything you'd like me to comment on?
Just please tell us about your vacation rental. Just a brief description.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty simple. It's a standard 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath home. The hope is to use vacation rental sites like Airbnb and VRBO to facilitate the booking. We live just 30 minutes away, so we'll plan to manage it ourselves. And we have done this with another residence that we have, or that we sold in Lake Oswego, so we do have experience in this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hartley. Are there any proponents waiting for public testimony? Faye or Doug, are there any proponents wishing to speak? Any proponents?
I'm not seeing any.
Jenny.
Wow. All right. All right. Any other questions from the commissioners for the applicant, Jeff Hartley? Hearing none, we will close the public portion of this testimony. The public portion of the hearing of the. Thank you. All right, planning commissioners, let's deliberate. Are there any issues that anybody would like to bring up, concerns that weren't discussed?
I just thought of a question. Sorry, I was not fast enough. The applicant said they live 30 minutes away. How are they planning to address complaints from neighbors and or any other issues that come up? Like, how would they get reached while managing the property?
I guess what would the expectation be? I guess our phone number is posted. People could call us, and we could be there in a short period of time. Yeah, I guess if there's a specific scenario, I'm happy to address it.
This is can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I finally got access to the microphone. I'm so sorry. I've been here this whole time. And so I just wanted to chime in real quick, and then I'd love to answer your question. Also, I'm a graduate of George Fox. I've grown up in Oregon, super passionate about the area, passionate about the wine. And so really remember when I was a student, there were very few, and even if when I've taken weekend getaways with friends out in the area, there's very few lodging options. And so I think that's where the passion comes, is creating an opportunity for families to be able to access their kids who are students and support what's going on at GFU. And then also with wine country being right there, that's a big draw. And then to answer your question, it has been and is currently our primary residence. And so we have relationships with all of the surrounding neighbors already, who all have our contact information. And we're really dialed when it comes to the instructions, and we'll be really, what's the word I'm looking for? We would hold our guests to really high expectations is basically what I'm trying to say.
No, thank you. That definitely answered my question. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Are there any further questions? Any comments from commissioners, concerns? Thoughts? All right.
Commissioner Hanson, this may not be the right time to bring it up, but it's just been in my mind over the last few months regarding vacation rentals in general, and concerns have been brought up by citizens regarding the growing number of rentals. I'm wondering if probably not now is a good time to bring it up, but just in the future, I guess, where we stand on, I think we asked staff about a report for kind of other cities' guidelines regarding quantities of and concentrations of rentals.
And so, Commissioner, I can say that we did about 3 months ago, we did a presentation to the City Council and brought forward to them the number of short-term rentals that are occurring, the location of short-term rentals, which are primarily north and south of downtown. The council at that point in time directed staff to do some additional research and return back to the council with additional information. During that meeting, there were discussions about should there be a limit on the total number of short-term rentals in Newburgh? Should there be a distance separation? They did not come to any conclusion, so staff has some additional work to do. The issue about short-term rentals is also being identified in our housing production strategy for the issue about homes being taken off the long-term rental market or homes ownership market. So there will be more to come as staff does additional research, and we'll run information by both the Planning Commission and the City Council and get some guidance.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my only concern at this point, is that, I don't know, yeah, this may not be the right time, but possibly exercising caution in the future regarding the current stance, and yeah, maybe another time to bring it up, but yeah.
Actually, I was going to request that when it came down to our item number 6, or actually items from staff after that, we do items from commissioners, and I suggest we pick it up then, because I wanted to also ask about that. Thank
Okay,
you
great.
very much, Connor, for Commissioner Hanson for asking that. Appreciate it. All right. Now we are gonna vote. Planning Commission, do I have a motion to approve Planning Commission Order 2022-011 CUP 22-0006 for vacation rental home 909 East 6th Street? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have, sorry.
Thank you, commissioners. We have a first and a second. Can we get a roll call?
Yeah,
vote.
roll call vote.
Let's, Charles,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Aiden,
Yes.
So the motion passes 6-0.
Yep. CUP 22-0006 passes. Thank you very much and congratulations, Jeff and Emily Hartley.
Thank you very much.
You have a good evening.
You too.
And next, we'll be calling to order on this August 11th, 2022, public hearing for CUP 2022-007. Bryce Kurtz, located at 919 East Henry Road. And first up,
Well, first of all, we need to go through the call for extensions, and then we need to do the legal announcement again.
yep. Purpose for the planning commission is to review the application, discuss testimony, deliberate, make a motion on the matter, and then vote. Our procedure will be applicant goes first. You have a 15-minute time limit. And if there is a principal opponent, same, you go second, you will have a 15-minute limit. Any other proponents go first after the applicant. And you will have 5 minutes, and any opponents will also have 5 minutes, and there will be a chance for rebuttal. At this time, I'd like to call for any abstentions, biased, ex partes, or objection to jurisdiction. Commissioner Gray, could you please read the legal announcement?
ORS 197.797 requires certain statements to be made at the commencement of a public hearing. The applicable city and state zoning criteria must be listed. This means that we must advise you of the standards that must be satisfied by the applicant prior to our approval of an application. The planning staff will list the applicable criteria during his or her presentation of the staff report. Persons wishing to participate in this hearing must direct their testimony or the evidence toward the criteria stated by the planner or other specific city or state criteria which you believe apply. You must tell us why the testimony or evidence relates to the criteria. Any issue which might be raised in an appeal of this case to the Land Use Board of Appeals must be raised in person or by letter to the local level prior to the city approving or denying the application. The law states the issue must be raised in enough detail to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond. This part of the law is also known as the raise it or waive it requirement. If you do not bring it up now, you cannot bring it up at the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of the approval in enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing on an application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission will grant such a request through a continuance or extension of the record.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Oh, I'm going to miss you. I really am. All right, at this time, staff, may we hear your report?
Hello, once again, this is Sam Goodmanstead, Assistant Planner. The case before you this evening is a vacation rental located at 919 East Henry Road. I'll begin by entering the entire staff report into the record. Next slide, please. Bryce Kurtz has submitted an application to the city of Newburgh. This is for a conditional use approval for a vacation rental in a 3-bedroom single-family home. Its location is 919 East Henry Road. We've identified the map and tax lot number for this parcel. It is in the R1 zone, which is the low-density residential zone. The applicable criteria for this case is 15.225060, which is the conditional use criteria through a type 3 process, and 15.445300 through 350, which is our vacation rental home standards. Next slide, please. This is a map identifying the location of the property. It is located on East Henry Road, and it is the area outlined in red. Next slide, please. This is a site view of the home. Next slide, please. The applicable criteria, 15.225060. The first is dealing with location, size, design, and operating characteristics. It is located in an area with existing single-family homes. It's northeast of downtown and near Tom Gale Park. The use is similar to a residential use in its design and operating characteristics. There are 2 off-street parking spaces, and those parking spaces take their access from East Henry Road. Next slide, please. Subsection B is dealing with location, design, and site planning, and then C is whether it will be consistent with the code. Quick summary, which is further detailed in your staff report. The location is attractive for a vacation rental given its proximity to downtown and regional attractions such as wineries and George Fox University. As I noted before, there are 2 off-street parking spaces with their access off East Henry Road, and it is compatible with other residential uses in the area which are both owned and rented. Next slide, please. These are the vacation rental standards themselves. It has to be in a single-family dwelling, which it is, located at 919 East Henry Road. The applicant would need to register with the city for transient lodging tax, which means for the rental of the units, there is a 9% tax for its use as a vacation rental, and that's paid based on what gets charged on a nightly basis. We have to have 2 off-street parking spaces, and there are 2, as I previously mentioned. It's a 3-bedroom home, so the maximum occupancy for the vacation rental is 6. They cannot have or include as part of the vacation rental the use of RVs, tents, or any temporary shelters. There is a requirement that the applicant will post near the front door the contact information for the police department, what the vacation rental standards are, what the maximum occupancy is, and what day the garbage pickup will occur, which is on Thursday. Next slide, please. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission move to adopt Order 2022-010 with conditions. And that will conclude staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. At this time, I would like to hear from the applicants. You have a 15-minute limit. That would be.
So I spoke with the applicant today, and he indicated that he would be joining us tonight. I'm not sure if he is here.
Faye, is Mr. Kurtz with us?
I do not see a Mr. Kurtz. I see a Tanya Peterson.
Can you go ahead and check in with Mr. Peterson? He may be it may be Bryce using another login, or it may be, go ahead and find out what that's about, please.
Promoted them to panelist.
What?
They're promoted to panelist.
Ah, okay. They are a promoted panelist. Okay. All right. Then I presume the commissioners have.
Before we move on, does Tani have any comments she wants to make? If she does, she needs to unmute herself.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got
Here we
it.
go.
Are we there?
Hi.
It says, this is Bryce. So,
This is Bryce.
in the
This is
chat.
Bryce. Hey, how's it going? Sorry. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm on the clock here. So I've lived in town here for all my life. I've owned this this property for 20 plus years. And I was just, looking at trying to do something different with it. With the wine country, and I have neighbors. I have an Airbnb across the street from my house where I currently live, and it is drawn a lot of actually George Fox parents, and that's what actually piqued my interest into trying to do something different with this property. I know that there's been some concerns with one of the neighbors on the back property, where the backyard meets her side yard. I know that we are adding some arborvitaes and a tool shed, a garden shed there to kind of block her out, to give her a buffer. So we definitely don't want any problems. As far as availability, I live here in town. The neighbors, the immediate neighbors will have my phone number to get a hold of me. I have a full-time management company that will be managing this. They also live here in town. So we will be screening clients, and it'll be the landscaping and maintenance and all that will be handled through this management company.
Wonderful.
Other than that, that's about all I got.
Brett, are there any brief questions from the commissioners? Questions, clarification of the applicant, Bryce Kurtz?
Oh, yeah. No. Rachel.
Hearing none. Thank you very much. Hearing none, are there any other proponents for Mr. Kurtz in our waiting room?
I don't see anyone.
Are there any opponents?
I got some.
Or undecided? Can we go ahead and hear from them, please?
Yep, I'm promoting them right now.
Thank you.
It's
Very
Rachel.
So, Madam Chair, what we have is Rachel Edwards.
Yep.
Hello, Ms.
Can
Edwards.
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't met Mr. Kurtz. I've been there for 8 years and never met him. There's been renters in there. And anyway, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. And I am the person that is adjacent to the property. I share a fence and sight lines to the property. Also, the other neighbors, you can walk and just walk up the fence and look into their entire backyard from the property. I spoke with them, and that was a concern for them. The fence to my property is 10 feet from my windows. I see their backyard. I see inside their kitchen, and I can see all that. And I know he just spoke a little bit about some arborvitae. I'm a widow, and safety and security are extremely important issues for me. Having new people in the house feet away with sightlines threatens that. Would be a drastic change in our neighborhood and the way of living in my home if I had to shut up my windows or not be able to be in my small backyard. I can see there, they can see into my bedroom and living room. Let me see what else I got here. People on the property could easily see in my backyard and the neighbors. We also have another widow that is right next on the other side that walks back and forth there, and the fence on that property line is all the way down. I don't know if it's removed right now because they're doing so much work on it right now. It's really working hard on it. So that fence is down, and I think that makes her a little more vulnerable. I'm just going to see. I mean, there's been renters in there for 8 years, and this has a general lack of care. In fact, it's just how recently when everything, I mean, he's been working so hard on it, and I just haven't met him or been able to catch him to meet him. And I want to be a good neighbor and a happy neighbor. But the temporary tenants, they don't share the same ownership habits or consideration. They come in and use it and leave. Another consideration is the dogs. The fence is loose between our properties. You can move one of the 4x4s. It's an older fence. So some dogs in strange place can also bark all day. And then if it's at 10 o'clock, who is in charge of policing that? If there's, people go to wine country, and I mean, I've got kids too. They come home, they want to have some wine, they want to party, and say they want to go after 10 o'clock or whatever. I mean, is that up to me to call and have to police the property? That's one of my concerns. And I know in talking to a couple of the other neighbors, they said the same thing. I mean, who's the person that takes care of that? Is that something we would need to, I mean, I certainly don't want to. We don't want to patrol or babysit tenants. I've tried to cover some of the sight lines and it really hasn't helped. Like I said, I haven't met him. I hear he's a very nice person. But for me, it just seems to change our neighborhood with the having people coming in and out all the time. So I guess that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you very much, Ms. Edwards. Doug, if there are some comments staff would like to make?
I think some of these are back to Mr. Kurtz, who will have to make comments to, but on the issue about enforcement. So there are provisions about complaints. And so if there are complaints, those are registered back to the city. Typically they go to our code enforcement officer. Sometimes they come to me and then I forward them on. I can say in the last 7.5 years, I've received one complaint on one vacation rental that has been approved. But yes, complaints would come to the city, they would go to code enforcement, and then they would be enforced from there. There are provisions within our code that are actually in your staff report on complaints, and it's under 15.445350. And if we receive 2 or more written complaints within a 1-year period, then it gets elevated to the city manager, who has to review and do a hearing on those particular complaints. And the city manager has the ability to revoke the conditional use approval. The other questions about the line and sight and so forth, and the improvements that are occurring to the property, I think, Madam Chair, that would be more appropriate to address those to the applicant.
Mr. Kurtz, are you still there?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes. Do you have any plans for the fence at this time to repair it?
So the one side that's down is getting completely replaced. The one side, and I could come by and introduce myself to Rachel. That technically is on her side of the property. That back, it would be my back property, her side house. That's actually her fence. And if she wants to, if we need to replace that, we can look at doing splitting it or something to make sure that that's secure. Also, on top of that, there's like I said, we're doing a line of arborvitae across the back of there between the fence and my property. And then also we are adding where her line of sight is, she's got 2 windows that she was concerned about people looking in. I'm putting a 8x8 garden shed there. So that'll block that line of sight out for her.
Wonderful. That was thoughtful of you. Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Kurtz. Miss Edwards,
I'm not sure what to say.
do you realize that is your fence, one of the fences of concern?
Yeah, I don't know, with the other neighbors, we've split things because not sure, which, I don't know. I don't know because I moved in and that fence, we have lots of fences that we share. So, but anyway, no, I didn't realize that. But I would be, a little concerned just if there were dogs, that would, and I mean, it's just, I don't know. And I don't know if I can share what the neighbors have said. It's not like I've gone around and, I just kind of asked them and, they just say it just changes the neighborhood. It's, we're not, somebody coming in new all the time and just makes me nervous. And then also for the other neighbor, I think that you know who that is. So anyway, I've said my piece. I'm happy. I'm so happy that you are looking at my concerns, and I appreciate that so much because I do feel vulnerable by myself. And
Single woman, you would.
Yeah.
Appreciate your coming forward with your concerns. It is warranted. And I am glad Mr. Kurtz is willing to work with you and that you guys can work together in this matter.
So, Madam Chair, because you allowed Ms. Edwards to speak again, you have to allow Mr. Kurtz the final opportunity to rebut any comments.
And Mr. Kurtz, do you have any final?
Well, yeah, I would say that, we are going to be screening applicants. So, or not me, the management company will be screening the applicants. So, we hope to get good quality people in there.
Hey, Bryce, can you, for the records, indicate who will be that management company?
It's Tanae Peterson LLC. She manages a couple others in Dundee.
Okay, thank you.
I understand the concern about pets. I would think that short term, if you got a long time renter in there, there's chances of a dog, and that issue. I understand that. With the short term rental, I think the chances of the barking shouldn't happen.
Right, is there any other comments or concerns from commissioners at this time? And at this time,
Yeah,
go
this is Linda. I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little more about the screening that you're going to be doing of the applicants, or that Tani Peterson will be doing, how that's done and what criteria are used.
Hi, this is Tanae. I can answer that. We will be going through the traditional vacation rental sites such as Airbnb, HomeAway, Bake, I think it's Vacasa. And all of those sites require that those guests have a rating, and we will only allow people with high ratings, and we'll be reading their reviews. Now, we are also going to need to get our own reviews once we get started. So we'll have to be respectful of that situation, but we want to make sure that our guests are highly rated guests. So they've stayed at other places and they have been reviewed by the other vacation rental owners.
Great, thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Right, at this time, I'd like to close public testimony portion of this hearing. May I have any final comments from staff and recommendations?
Sam, that's back to you.
No additional comments from staff.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And now at this time, the planning commission will bring it to a vote.
Madam Chair, sorry, question. I thought the street sounded familiar, so I looked it up. I live in a very close vicinity to it. I won't say how close for privacy reasons, but does that preclude me from voting?
No, it does not.
Okay.
As long as you've divulged that you live in proximity and that you are not biased
Okay.
towards the application, it just needs to be on the record. But you would need to state, I can't speak for you, Commissioner Gray. You have to make those statements yourself.
Okay. I state, Commissioner Gray, that I live within the vicinity of the property, but I will abstain of bias.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming forward with that, Commissioner Gray. And at this time, we will put it to a vote. Roll call. Faye, can you give a roll call vote, please?
Well, you need a motion first, Madam
Oh,
Chair,
okay.
in a second.
I am going to be quick. May I have a motion for an order for conditional use permit CUP 007 for vacation rental home at 919 East Henry Road?
I make a motion to approve CUP 22-0007.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Motion. I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Dale, for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Dill and Commissioner Gray. Now, may we have a roll call vote, please, on CUP 007?
Charles,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and Eden.
Motion.
Yes.
So Madam Chair, that motion passed 6-0.
6-0, Planning Commission Order 2022-010 for CUP 22-0007 for vacation rental home at 919 East Henry Road is approved. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And then our next up at this time is CUP 22-0008. I will call to order August 11th, 2020 quasi-judicial public hearing. This will be for CUP 2022-0008 with Julie and Steve Fugate at 1506 East First Street. And the first up, well, first of all, our purpose for the Planning Commission is to review the application, discuss testimony, deliberate, make a motion on the matter, and then vote. The procedure will be the applicant gets to speak first, 15-minute limit, then the principal opponent, if any. And then there will be questions, any questions from commissioners. Then first, after those two parties, proponents, 5 minutes, and opponents, 5 minutes also. Also a chance for rebuttal. At this time, I'd like to call for abstentions, bias, ex parte contact, and objections to jurisdiction. Commissioner Gray, would you please read the legal announcement?
Yes, ma'am. ORS 197.797 requires certain statements to be made at the commencement of a public hearing. The applicable city and state zoning criteria must be listed. This means that we must advise you of the standards that must be satisfied by the applicant prior to our approval of an application. The planning staff will list the applicable criteria during his or her presentation of the staff report. Persons wishing to participate in this hearing must direct their testimony or the evidence toward the criteria stated by the planner or other specific city or state criteria which you believe apply. You must tell us why the testimony or evidence relates to the criteria. Any issue which might be raised in appeal of this case to the Land Use Board of Appeals must be raised in person or by letter at the local level prior to the city approving or denying the application. The law states that the appeal must be raised in enough detail to afford the decision maker and the parties involved an opportunity to respond. This part of the law is also known as the raise it or waive it requirement. If you do not bring it up now, you cannot bring it up at the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval in enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing on an application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission will grant such a request through a continuation or extension of the record.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Gray. Thank you. At this time, we'll be hearing our staff report.
Hi, good evening. I'm Ashley Smith. I'm the assistant planner that will be presenting this case for you. And so I'll just wait for Faye to get the PowerPoint up.
And Ashley, that's a reminder to enter the staff report into the record.
Yes. Oh, let's see here. Okay, so the case this evening is a request to use a single family dwelling as a vacation rental at 1506 East First Street. At this time, I will enter the entire staff report into the record. Next slide. Julie and Steve Fugate have submitted a type 3 conditional use application to the city of Newburgh. This is a proposal for a conditional use vacation rental in a 3-bedroom single family home at 1506 East First Street. Identified on the slide are the map and tax lot number for this parcel. It is in the R2, which is a medium density residential zone. The applicable criteria for this case are 15-22-060, which is the conditional use criteria through a type 3 process. Also addresses our vacation rental home standards 15-445, 300 through 350. Next slide. This is a map identifying the location of the property. It's located on East First Street, which is also State Highway 219, and that's just east of downtown Newburgh. Next slide. This is a site view of the home that was submitted by the applicants as part of their application packet. The driveway and the garage are located on the back of the property, which is accessed by a shared alley off of South Church Street. Next slide. So first addressed are the conditional use criteria, which applies to the location, size, design, and operating characteristics of the proposed use. The home is located in an area with other existing single-family homes as part of the 2014 Ursa Place subdivision. The use as a vacation home provides a similar function to that of a residential owner-occupied home in both design and operating characteristics. Next slide. Subsection B addresses that the proposal will provide functional living, working, and additional activities and be maintained similar to its surroundings. Subsection C confirms whether the proposal will be consistent with the previous mentioned code sections. The location is attractive for a vacation rental as it's located a quarter mile from downtown Newburgh, close to grocery stores, restaurants, and other resources. It is determined that the use of a vacation rental would be compatible with other residential uses in the area, which are both owned and rented. Further details of these findings are outlined in your staff report. Next slide. Next, I will review the vacation rental standards 15-445, 300 through 350. The vacation rental must be a single family dwelling, which 1506 East First Street is. The owners will need to register with the city for the transient lodging tax. This tax will be 9% of the rent charged by the operator and will be used for promotion and development of tourism and visitor programs for Newburgh. Criteria 330 standards require that 2 off-street parking spaces be provided. There are 2 off-street parking spaces available in the driveway and 2 within the garage for a total of 4. The standards also state there may only be 2 guests per bedroom, and this is a 3-bedroom home, so the maximum occupancy for the vacation rental will be 6. The operators cannot have or include as part of the vacation rental the use of RVs, tents, or any temporary shelters. The applicant's narrative acknowledged all of these standards will be adhered to. There is a requirement that the applicant will post near the front door a local contact number for the owner or manager, contact information for the police department, and what the vacation rental standards are, what the maximum occupancy is, and what day the garbage service will occur. These specific details can be found in the provide staff report. And again, the applicant's narrative acknowledged that this will be done. Lastly, the owners have acknowledged that there is a complaint process with the city, which includes the potential to have the approval revoked if complaint issues remain unresolved. Next slide. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Order 2022-01, and that will conclude staff's presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. Appreciate that. At this time, do any of the commissioners have any brief questions, comments? All right, Ashley, on your applicable, your last slide, the applicable blah, 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 criteria. On that, on the 0.3100, you have underneath there 219 West Levi Way.
Oh, well,
Right.
that would be from my last
replace. That's all. Yeah, strike and replaced with 1506 East First Street for the record. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. That was a good presentation. And then the other question, this is, I presume this is one of the areas with, it also has an 8-inch water main, 8-inch wastewater, but a 4-inch lateral line that ties into a 12-inch main storm line. Doug, is this one of those areas?
This is
Brett?
yeah, this is Senior Engineer Brett Music. Yeah, no, that's referencing to a storm lateral, I believe.
That is correct. So there's an 8-inch water line in First Street. Then there is a wastewater line that's 8-inch that's in the alley that connects to Church Street. And then there's a 4-inch lateral for stormwater that connects to a 12-inch storm line. Very typical.
Very typical.
Okay, that was the only question I had. Do any of the other commissioners have any thoughts, questions of staff or anybody at this time? Staff. Hearing none, I will close public testimony at this time. Can I?
No, you have not gone through the proponents, opponents, and rebuttal process yet.
I am just trying to go way too fast, aren't I, this evening? All right, public testimony. May I have the applicants? They have 15-minute limit.
Hi, this is Julie Fugate. My husband and I bought this property in 2018 when it was brand new construction. We purchased 4 of those properties, 2 on Church Street, 2 on First Street, and all 4 have been long-term rentals for us. We are hoping to convert this one to a short-term rental, but we will not be doing that at any time in the future with the other 3. It is a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home with a fenced side yard, and we have Ring doorbells with recording on both the front door, which faces First Street, and the side door, which is where people will access them via the driveway and gate area there behind. So we'll be able to monitor who's coming and going and make sure that it is who it's supposed to be at any given time. We are long-term rental property owners, and we live just barely out of Newburgh in Sherwood. So we are about 6 minutes away from the property. So we have had on occasion other folks in the neighborhood reach out to us in the past, and we have, so we know that folks have our phone numbers. And again, 3 of the other properties in that development we own. So we have the contact information of the folks who live there and what's going on there. I'm not sure what else. It's a really great area. It is literally directly across the street from the parking lot for Grocery Outlet. So that's the location if you want to kind of have an idea of where on First Street the properties are.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. Any comments or questions from commissioners? Right at this time, I would like to ask if there are any proponents in favor. Is Tom Fuller here this evening? Faye, is there a Tom Fuller in?
I don't see a Tom Fuller. I see a Jeffrey, which I'm promoting right now.
Oh.
And Jeffrey is now promoted.
Hello, Jeffrey. Good evening. Does he have his unmute on? Or his mic on?
I asked him to unmute and he disappeared.
Huh. Well, he might be back. We'll give it a moment.
That's definitely Jeff Mercer.
You're cutting out, Faye. Are there any other opponents or undecided waiting for to make public comment?
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so the Jeffrey that we're talking about is our Jeffrey Musil, a planning commission member. And so he's being asked to be promoted.
Wonderful. I was wondering about that. I was gonna say he rarely misses anything. Well, I knew he'd chime in at some point. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Faye, for that, for checking.
So, Madam Chair, for those who provided public comments in writing, we do not see them in attendance this evening.
All right. All right, then I will be closing. I will be closing.
1009 ones.
I will be closing public testimony for this portion of the hearing. Good evening, Jeffrey. How are you? Sorry about that. All right, final comments from staff and recommendations, please.
Ashley, that's back to you.
Oh, I apologize. No further recommendations or comments.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. At this time, the Planning Commission will deliberate. Commissioners, does anybody have any other concerns, comments, questions? All right, I'm gonna bring this matter. Do I take a motion for approval for planning commission? Whoops, never mind. For CUP 22-0008 for August 11th, 2022 planning commission hearing. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Bond motions to approve conditional use permit CUP 22-0008.
Thank you, Commissioner Eplin. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. At this time, can we take a roll call vote, please? On
All right.
the 22-008.
Charles,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Couldn't hear you on that one, Faye.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
I have a very bad idea.
Connor,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
What do you want to do?
and Eden.
Snap weeks and notice. I really want to do that.
Somebody has their audio on. If
Yes.
they can turn that off, please.
By voice,
I'm with you.
by roll call vote.
We missed Aiden.
Uh,
I said
Aiden
yes,
said
it
he
got
said
lost
yes.
in the background.
Aiden, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passed 7-0.
2-0. Thank you very much. Planning Commission Order 2022-08, conditional use permit, CUP 22-0008 for a vacation rental home at 1506 East First Street is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Next up at this time. Is Planning Commission Order Planning Commission Order 2022-09 for CUP 22-0009. Located at 107 West Ashley Court, and our applicants are Sasha Callahan and Leo Iguchi. I hope I said that right. And at this time, the purpose of our hearing, the planning commissioners will review the application, discuss testimony, deliberate, make a motion on the matter, vote, and then have any questions from commissioners, then proponents, 15-minute limit on applicant, proponents, 5-minute limit, and opponents, 5-minute limit also, and a chance for rebuttal. At this time, I'd like to call for abstentions, bias, ex parte contact, objection, or objections to jurisdiction. Hearing none, Commissioner Gray, could you please read our legal announcement?
ORS 197.797 requires certain statements to be made at the commencement of a public hearing. The applicable city and state zoning criteria must be listed. This means that we must advise you of the standards that must be satisfied by the applicant prior to our approval of an application. The planning staff will list the applicable criteria during his or her presentation of the staff report. Persons wishing to participate in this hearing must direct their testimony or the evidence toward the criteria stated by the planner or other specific city or state criteria which you believe apply. You must tell us why the testimony or evidence relates to the criteria. Any issue which might be raised in appeal of this case to the Land Use Board of Appeals must be raised in person or by letter at the local level prior to the city approving or denying the application. The law states that the issue must be raised in enough detail to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond. This part of the law is also known as the raise it or waive it requirement. If you do not bring it up now, you cannot bring it up at the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of the approval in enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing on an application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission will grant such a request through a continuance or extension of the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. At this time, we'll now have staff report.
Hey, hello again. 4 of 4, we're almost there. Okay, so the case this evening is a request to use a single family dwelling as a vacation rental property at 107 West Ashley Court. At this time, I will enter the entire staff report into the record. Next slide. Sasha Callahan and Leo Oguchi have submitted a type 3 conditional use application to the city of Newburgh. This is a proposal for a conditional use vacation rental in a 3-bedroom single family home at 107 West Ashley Court. Identified on the slide are the map and tax lot number for this parcel. It is in the R1, which is a low density residential zone. The applicable criteria for this case are 15.22.060, which is the conditional use criteria through a type 3 process. Also addressed is our vacation rental home standards 15.445.300 through 350. And next slide, please. This is a map identifying the location of the property. It's located on West Ashley Court. The home was part of the 1994 Ashley Park subdivision. The subdivision is located west of North Main Street and less than 1 block north of Jack Heath Park. And next slide. Here is a recent picture of the home. And next slide. First addressed are the conditional use criteria 15.225060, which applies to the location, size, design, and operating characteristics of the proposed use. The home is located in an area with other existing single-family homes as part of the Ashley Park subdivision. The use as a vacation home provides similar function to that of a residential owner-occupied home in both design and operating characteristics. And next slide. Subsection B addresses that the proposal will provide functional living, working, and additional activities and be maintained similar to its surroundings. Subsection C confirms whether the proposal will be consistent with the previous mentioned code sections. The location is attractive for a vacation rental given its proximity to downtown, the neighborhood, and regional attractions, and is 1 mile from George Fox University campus. Furthermore, the applicants state that landscaping and the home will be consistently maintained by a local property management company. It is determined that the use of a vacation rental would be comparable with other residential uses in the area, which are both owned and rented. And next slide. Next, I will review the vacation rental standards 15.445.300 through 350. The vacation rental must be a single family dwelling, which 107 West Ashley Court is. The owners will need to register with the city for the transient lodging tax. This tax will be 9% of the rent charged by the operator and will be used for promotion and development of tourism and visitor programs for Newburgh. Criteria 0.330 standards require that 2 off-street parking spaces be provided. There are 2 off-street parking spaces available in the driveway and 2 within the garage for a total of 4. The standards also state that there may be only 2 guests per bedroom. This is a 3-bedroom home, so the maximum occupancy for the vacation rental will be 6. The operators cannot have or include as part of the vacation rental use, the use of RVs, tents, or any temporary shelters. The applicant's narrative acknowledged all of these standards will be adhered to. There is a requirement for the applicant to post near the front door a local contact number for the owner or manager. contact information for the police department, what the vacation rental standards are, what the occupancy is, and what the garbage pickup, what day garbage pickup will occur. These specific details can also be found in the staff report. And again, the applicant's narrative acknowledged all of this will be done. Lastly, the owners have also acknowledged that there is a complaint process with the city, which includes the potential to have this approval revoked if complaint issues remain unresolved. Next slide. And staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Order 2022-09. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Ashley. At this time, does any of the planning commissioners have any brief questions for Ashley? Hearing none. We'll start with public testimony. And may I hear from the applicant, Julian Steve Fugate?
Do you mean Leo Iguchi and Sasha Callahan?
Yes.
Hi.
It's the end of a long meeting, I understand. Hello, I'm Sasha Callahan, and just wanted to introduce myself. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, but first started coming out to Newburgh as a 5-year-old to take violin lessons at George Fox College, and have been just very fond of the area ever since. And 7 years ago, together with my husband Leo, we started a chamber music festival in the Willamette Valley. And it's been our dream ever since then to invest more in the area and to purchase a home that we will use when we are playing our festival, as well as whenever we're able to come back to the area, but also to rent. We live in Boston, but we come out for much of the summer every year, and as often during the year as we're able to. So, you know, we're really trying to contribute to this area culturally, and we have this festival that's 3 weekends of concerts each August in local wineries, and we have been really loving that work, and as well as our work with the junior orchestra, the youth orchestra of Yamhill. And so we're really invested in the area and wanting to contribute to it. And this house will enable us to be there more.
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners for Sasha or Leo? Hearing none?
Madam Commissioner, could I make one more comment?
You certainly can.
I just wanted to, for the sake of the public record, note that in one of the slides, it also listed our address incorrectly. It listed it as Levy Way or something like that, when it should say 107 West Ashley Court.
So that was a cut paste. All right, thank you very much. So the Levi Way strike.
And then the other thing that we didn't speak to is because we live in Boston and are not able to be on site when we're not living there, we are working with a local property management company, Lifestyle Properties. We chose to work with a local company because they are hands-on, they are right on the ground, they have people available to deal with anything that comes up 24 hours a day, and that was very important to us. And as a local company, you know, they really understand the needs of Newburgh citizens and have been very responsive to our concerns about wanting to make sure that there are no nuisances for the neighbors, and that's a big part of their business model. So that was very important to us in choosing them.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I haven't really heard of them yet. I'll have to look them up.
Well, Megan Carta, the president of the company, is here in the meeting. If anyone has questions to address to her.
Name's Megan. I will write that down. Wonderful. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Megan? Hearing none, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I bet that's pretty neat, being 5 years old, coming out here and doing that. I find a lot of people that are here in Newburgh now are people that have been here as children.
Yeah,
and
it's
are just really in love with the area.
it occupies a very special place in my heart, and then to see the area grow and change so much. I mean, it's really a very different community than when I was 5. I'm almost 45, I will say. And to come back and play concerts. We have 2 concerts this weekend at J. Christopher Wines right in Newburgh, and then 2 concerts next weekend at Archery Summit Wines nearby. And so to return to the area and play concerts where I got my start as a musician is very special.
Actually, Archery Summit Way is my husband's family's old property.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, yeah, Barry family purchased from them.
wow.
Wow.
It's a beautiful spot.
It is. If you ever get a chance to go over and look at the, they actually made a fish spawning ladder. And it's actually the site for the 2 people that own that property also invented the methane decomposition and gave it publicly, that knowledge publicly, and did not take out a patent on it.
Wow.
And it because that pond that's there and the fish hatchery,
That's
private fish hatchery. So
Wow.
kind of some historical stuff for you there.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this time, we'll go ahead and close public testimony.
Madam Chair, you first need to go
Ah,
through any opponents and
Any-
then rebuttal.
I am so sorry. Faye, are there any opponents waiting in the room at this time?
I see none. No one with their hands raised.
Okay. So seeing no opponents or undecided, no rebuttals at this time, so we will go ahead and close public testimony portion of this hearing. And may I have any final comments from staff and recommendations?
No further comments or recommendations.
Thank you, Ashley. Then, commissioners. Do any of the commissioners have any thoughts, concerns, anything they wanted to deliberate on?
Oh, I just passed over it.
Right, hearing none. We'll put it to a vote. Faye, can you give a roll
What
call?
is it? What do you have to do on it? What do you do in the whole 16?
Did anyone make a motion?
Somebody's got their microphone on.
Yeah. You say that, then you die.
I mean, we all have our microphones on, but it's reverberating in the background. Faye, could you try that again, please?
Did someone make a motion?
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I am just all going here.
Commissioner Musall, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve conditional use permit CUP 22-0009.
Seconded.
So we have a first and a second motion. Thank you, commissioners. We will now put it to a commission vote. Faye, now can you read roll call, please?
Charles,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Well, I actually passed.
yeah,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Aiden,
Yes.
So that motion passes 7-0.
7-0. Right, motion passes for CUP 22-8009. sorry. Planning Commission, CUP 22-0008. Conditional use permit for 1506 is approved.
That's actually CUP 22-0009, Madam Chair.
And I'm looking at the wrong one. All right, take it from the top. This is. All right.
It's okay. The motion has passed.
All right, done. CUP 0009 passes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good evening. All right, we are to the last part of this evening for this section anyway. All right. Now I will call to order the August 11th, 2022 public hearing for annexation ANX 22001. And at this time, I'd like to, the purpose is to review, discuss, deliberate any procedure of testimony. Applicants are first, or any proponents or opponents are second. There's a 5-minute limit with a chance for rebuttal. A call for any abstentions, bias, ex parte contact to jurisdiction. Hearing none. Commissioner Gray, could you please read the legal announcement?
ORS 197.797 requires certain statements to be made at the commencement of a public hearing. The applicable city and state zoning criteria must be listed. This means that we must advise you of the standards that must be satisfied by the applicant prior to our approval of an application. The planning staff will list the applicable criteria during his or her presentation of the staff report. Persons wishing to participate in this hearing must direct their testimony or the evidence towards the criteria stated by the planner or other specific city or state criteria which you believe apply. You must tell us why the testimony or evidence relates to the criteria. Any issue which might be raised in the appeal of this case to the Land Use Board of Appeals must be raised in person or by letter at the local level prior to the city approving or denying the application. The law states the issue must be raised in enough detail to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond. This part of the law is also known as the raise it or waive it requirement. If you do not bring it up now, you can't bring it up at the Land Use Board of Appeals. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval in enough detail to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing on the application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission will grant such a request through a continuance or extension of the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Appreciate that. At this time, I would like a staff report.
And I will use the word please, Madam Chair. All right, so I will begin by entering the entire staff report into the record. As noted, this is annexation 22-0001. This is initiated by the Newburgh City Council. Next slide, please. So this proposal is to annex 2.16 acres into the Newburgh city limits. This annexation is for the city's new groundwater treatment plant that we are working on. So the overall site address right now is 1301. We purchased this property from West Rock. And of course, West Rock sold the balance of the property to Commercial Development Corporation. We're only annexing that portion of the property that is within the urban growth boundary. So we purchased a little over 4 acres or about 4 acres of land. We're only annexing 2.16 acres into the city limits. Next slide. The comprehensive plan designation for this site is industrial, and it's in the Riverfront District overlay. Next slide. So this is the location. It's a very southern end of the former West Rock Mill site. Its access comes off of Dog Ridge Road. Next slide. This is a close-up with the comp plan designation. So this outlines the 2.16 acres we are annexing just to the south of this property. Of course, is outside the urban growth boundary, but that's where our current water treatment plant is located. Next slide. The zoning with the annexation, the application requests that it be given the M2, which is our light industrial zone designation, and it will have the Riverfront District overlay designation as well. Next slide. Existing utilities. So there are utilities within proximity. Of course, since it's a water treatment plant and it's right next to our existing plant, we have water. And so our water comes from the well field, which is on the south side of the Willamette River in Marion County. We have two lines that cross the river. One is on the waterline bridge, which you see on the drawing here. And then the second is a pipe that actually goes underneath the Willamette River and goes up towards Dog Ridge Road and then comes back into our current water treatment plant. The wastewater for this is actually located up on Winooski Road up by the bypass. And so for development of this groundwater treatment plant, there would be an extension of the wastewater line to the plant itself. Next slide. Criteria 15.250020. So A, it's got to be located within the urban growth boundary. This site is within the urban growth boundary. It has to be contiguous to the city limits. It is contiguous to the west, to the north, and to the east by prior annexations we've done over the course of the last year. Next slide. 15.250.030. So this is a quasi-judicial annexation. It was initiated by the city. City manager actually filled out and signed the application on behalf of the council for this. So when the law changed several years ago, which would be about 5 years ago now, when an applicant initiates an annexation, it does not require a vote. The comprehensive plan designation I've already indicated is industrial with the Riverfront District overlay, and that corresponding zoning that would be applied would be the M2, which is our light industrial with the Riverfront District overlay. Next slide. 15.250.030, again on the quasi-judicial. We have to have adequate level of urban services and be available within 3 years. So sewer, water, roads, police, fire, parks and schools. And so as I showed on the slide previously, this is the water plant. So there is lots of water because this is the facility that the water goes out to the entire community. The sanitary sewer or the wastewater is located up to the north and can be extended to this particular site. Next slide. Roads. So the site is served off of Northeast Dog Ridge Road. So we have an easement over property that's owned by CDC to be able to get in and out of our water treatment plant. With annexation, it's be provided police services. It's already covered by Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue for fire services. It's already covered by Chehalis Park and Recreation District for park services. And of course, the Newburgh Public School System. There would not be any houses, so we're not increasing any population. We're not providing any parks as part of this annexation for the groundwater treatment plant. But police and fire services may be necessary in the future if there was an emergency situation. Next slide. So staff's recommendation is to adopt Planning Commission Resolution 2022-381. That concludes my presentation, Madam Chair. And I guess I entered the entire staff report into the record.
Thank you very much.
Twice I did that, at the beginning and at the end.
Awesome. You checked all the boxes. I like it. And I will not do it again. The public testimony thing, I wrote it down. All right. Do we have any besides the applicant, which is you, or the city of Newburgh?
I see that there are two attendees, Alan and Jeff Hartley. I don't know if they're here in support or in opposition, or if they're just listening. If they are interested in testifying, if they could please raise their hand. The screen hand, not your personal hand. I can't see that.
That's a good one. Faye, does it look like we have anybody that wants to testify as a proponent or an opponent or undecided?
No raised hands, so I'm assuming they do not want to testify.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So at this time, do I have?
So you need to close the public testimony, Madam Chair.
I am going to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. Any final comments or recommendations from staff?
No additional comments or recommendation from staff.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve annexing 2.6 acres to the Newburgh city limits, PC Resolution 2022-381, annexation 22-0001?
Commissioner Musall, I move to adopt the Planning Commission Resolution 2021-381 and send it on to the City Council for approval.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Wonderful. We have a first and a second. May we put it to a vote, please? Faye, can you do a roll call? Roll call vote.
Charles,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Linda. Linda. That was Linda.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was still on mute. Yes.
And Aiden.
Yes.
All right.
So
Vote.
that motion passed 7-0, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you very much. At this time, ANX 22-0001 passes.
We got the all in it, right?
Yeah.
I hear that in the background. All right, passes, and congratulations to the city. And that was with all the extensions A, B, and C. 1 through 6, aerial photos, 1, 2, comprehensive plan map, 3, zoning map, 4, natural resources map, 5, staff and agency comments, and 6, applications, including its exhibits A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. At this time, are there any other comments about this particular thing? All right. Then, next up is items from staff.
So, commissioners, in your packet, you have your forward-looking calendar for things coming up. So congratulations, you got through 5 hearings tonight. I appreciate that. Reminder is that you have an extra meeting as the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Multifamily Code Audit, and that's coming up on August 25th. Mary sent out a reminder email to everybody for that, so make sure that's on your calendars. That will be at 6 p.m. Our consultants will be present as well to provide new and interesting information that we discussed this week. September 8th, in your packet, it had a to be determined. There will be a public hearing for a vacation rental at 3951 North Boomer Drive. So Sam will be giving that presentation. Faye will be there, and I will ask Mary to attend as well. I will not be present on September 8th. I will be out of state. As your packet shows, I'm working on a number of things related to the urban growth boundary expansion that the city gave us direction to work on back in July of 2020. So those are all tentative right now, and I'm working on that. The Senate Bill 458, that will actually get moved out. I've been working with Sam on that proposal as well as staff. And I might be giving you a briefing on a proposal for an urban reserve expansion. Other things out in November, again, they're tentative in nature in time, but we do have things. I can say that I have things generally scheduled out until March of next year. So we're always about a year ahead or so with activities and things that are going on. So that's what I have on that topic. Past actions by Planning Commission. So you did review the sign ordinance regulations, and you made some adjustments that went to City Council. It was heard at both of their meetings in June. They did make changes to your recommendation. So they went back to the original proposal that city staff had brought forward to the Planning Commission for that one. We had an annexation that we actually did back in 2021. This was back in May, and we ran into some issues with the Department of Revenue about the legal description. So we had to have another hearing on that, and council did re-adopt that annexation at their July 18th meeting. So that covers that piece of it. Commissioner Avon had raised the question about the short-term rentals, because we have seen an increase in those applications in 2022. And so again, I'll just state that about 3 months ago, we did have a conversation with City Council about this. They've asked us to do some additional research. So we'll work that into our work program. And when we have that additional research done, we will share it with the Planning Commission, and then we'll get back in front of the City Council as well.
Can I
Can't
ask
tell
a
you
quick
what.
question there, Doug? Do
Yes, Linda.
Do you have a timeline for when you're hoping to get that information back? Because that's another thing that's actually been worrying me.
I do not have a specific time. We've got a plethora of things in front of it. Right now, we're also recruiting for one vacant position. I'd like to get refilled. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that in the next month or so. If we can get that filled, then I can start to redistribute some of the workload that we have going on between our current planning and long-range planning activities.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Yeah, Commissioner Musil here. I do have a question, and I'll ask this to Doug. Came up in conversation with a person, and it has to do with HOAs and city code. I know that HOAs have a lot of room in what they can do as code. What they can do as rules and everything. This one in particular was with regard to grass watering. Like the HOA in question is requiring that the residents water their grass during the summer. And is there anything in code at all that addresses that? I just got asked this yesterday and really didn't get a chance to address it, research it much.
There is nothing. HOA is a private matter. So we do not, we have limited times when we require an HOA be established. So it's really a function of the developer if they want to create one. The one deviation to that is when we're doing planned unit developments over a certain size. And if they have private streets, then we require an HOA. And in statute, there's kind of a hierarchy of the level of an HOA. So if a development occurred in the past and there was a homeowners association that was established, that is amongst the HOA board and the residents within that particular development. The city does not get involved. We do no enforcement on homeowner association regulations.
That's kind of what I figured. I just was curious if there was any code as far as the person that mentioned it brought up, that they're on a tight budget and, potential of drought and everything, why they're forcing them to water.
It potentially, and this is a hypothetical, Mr. Commissioner, is that, if we got into a water situation where we had to curtail, then we would ask everybody to curtail their use of water. I've been in situations in the past in other communities where we had watering every other day or every third day, and you couldn't allow it to get onto sidewalks or concrete or driveways and out in the road and so forth. We do not have a list of which developments have an HOA. There's documentation in archives and files, but nobody ever created a list.
I told you.
Okay. That's kind of what I figured, but I just wanted to clarify for sure.
HOAs also many times have an expiration date on them. They may operate for 25 or 30 years. Unless the HOA renews it, they expire. I've seen that happen as well.
Okay. And just one more thing. I'd like to apologize to commissioners and staff for being late. I meant to take a short nap after a root canal and it turned into a long nap.
I think everybody understands that one, Commissioner. I think the last thing, and then I'll turn it back over to the chair, is Commissioner Gray. This is her last meeting. She announced at the beginning she's going off to college. So I will turn it back over to the chair and Commissioner Gray, and you guys can talk about that. But I wanted to say personally, thank you. I appreciated your time on the commission and your involvement and taking on the role. I have to read that legal language every time we do a quasi-judicial here.
I will second Doug's thanks. Yeah, you've been great. It's been good having you on. Where are you going to college?
OSU for civil engineering.
Okay, there you go. Congratulations and good luck.
I'd like to apologize. I looked at I didn't know about the August 25th meeting, and I'd RSVP'd at a city council other meeting for the student commissioners that are leaving. So I won't be able to make the second August meeting.
Okay,
so I'm sorry about that.
Thanks for letting us know.
But yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for letting me on here. It's been super great, and I've learned a lot about the way our city works just in general. And I think it'll be useful as a citizen just going into the world and becoming an adult with legal responsibilities. It's kind of great seeing how all of this works, and I hope to take this experience with me as I go into the world.
Wonderful. Well, Commissioner Gray, I really am gonna miss you. It's been a wonderful smiling face to look at this whole year. And I congratulate you, by the way, in graduating. Kudos. And even more so going to college and furthering your career. I know you will do absolutely wonderful. I have every faith in you.
Thank you.
Much so.
Not only did she graduate, she graduated with honors. Yay.
That's kind of a little hard to do this year too. In all of these years. Extra good job. Good perseverance. It's
Thank
something.
you.
It's the perseverance. It'll be your best friend throughout your life. Definitely. Well, I'm getting warm, and I've been trying to cut everybody short already this evening. So at this time, the other item from a commissioner is going to be right now, me. The other thing was about some of the staff. Is it possible for the GIS department to put up a map that shows the current vacation rentals that are all in downtown? And if there is a possible cap and what that percentage of cap might be in the future, just as a thought, if we are going to cap the amount of vacation rentals, or the city will, not we, If there ends up being criteria about that, could you give us some guidelines?
I believe we already have a map up on the city's website under community development planning for our vacation rentals. I know we updated that recently. As for the cap issue, as we do research and look at what other communities do, some do a cap, some do a distance separation requirement. We've done some of this research before. So I can't tell you, Chair, what it's going to be. We will do research and we'll bring back items for discussion. Ultimately, there are two ways that this could be approached. One is that once we gather the information and share it, the Planning Commission could adopt a resolution asking the City Council to initiate a code amendment to do whatever it may be, X, Y, or Z. Or the other option is that the City Council could initiate a development code amendment to do either X, Y, or Z. But right now, I can't tell any of the commissioners what that might be.
Okay. And I know Commissioner Dale previously mentioned during our February-March meeting that it also could have something, limitations could be perceived in historical districts.
And we don't have any historic districts in Newburgh. We have specific individual properties that have been designated, but no local or National Register historic designated districts in Newburgh.
Okay. And that had to do with something else I was thinking. All right. That surprises me because as old as Newburgh is, you would think there would be some historical area.
So the Historic Commission has been discussing this for a number of years, and they put together a work program. We did apply for a grant through Oregon State Parks. We're awarded a grant. We matched that grant dollar for dollar. And we are working to try to find a consultant to do the initial stages of community outreach within the downtown area to see if there would be an interest of having within the downtown. So I'm really talking about the commercial area. Would there be an interest or not in having either a local historic district designation or a National Register designation? It will be a years-long process to go through. I know Commissioner Dale had also brought up at a prior meeting the issue about accessory dwelling units in industrial. And so that's on our list. The list is long. You see it, it's in your packet. You see that. And then I have other lists as well. And so it gets all back to staffing and priorities.
Well, with that said, I hope you find a wonderful new member and it all goes much smoother from here on out for you and getting enough people together to carry it out. I know I'm sure appreciative all you and your staff. You guys work so many hours and you really, really are appreciated in all you do.
Thank you.
And then at this time, is there any further comments from any commissioners?
Commissioner Hanson. So in the meantime, addressing the short-term or the rentals, is there any actions that we could operate on, or sorry, guidelines that we could operate on in terms of determining, I don't know, approvals or disapprovals, I suppose?
Now, Commissioner, you went through 4 of those this evening, and so the criteria are laid out in the code. So the first set of criteria is the conditional use, and you saw those compatibility, which are subjective in nature. And then we have the very specific requirements for vacation rentals on how they operate. And so by Oregon's land use law, you have to operate under those criteria.
Okay. Understood. Yeah. So short of a code change, nothing really to change that.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. That answers my question.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comments. All right, at this time, we are going to adjourn the Planning Commission meeting for August 11th, 2022. And I really, really wish you good luck, Adrian. And it's pretty cool that you, by the way, historically hold the first title of the first person that can vote in your so you will always have that historically as well. And at this time, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Congrats, Aiden.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Good night.